What's up, everyone? This is Doc English, and this is my simple five-step guide on how to find a job teaching English in Thailand. This information is easily accessible in many parts of the internet, on many parts of the internet, I should say. But this is the only place where you're going to get my unique insight on the topic. I've got a lot of experience teaching in this country and some other parts of the world as well. And I'm going to provide some interesting perspective in this video. So before I go into the step-by-step process, I should briefly explain why somebody might want to come to Thailand. Why Thailand, of all places? Well, I've got a video in the description box linked below, which goes into more detail on this topic, the top 10 reasons why it's a good idea to come teach English in Thailand, and it gets into more specifics. But just in general, you're going to get an adventure like no other. You're going to get a travel opportunity like no other. Thailand is very unique. It was never colonized, unlike most parts of the world. So it kept its unique identity, it kept its unique culture, and I think that makes it special. The second reason is you're going to get a lot of professional growth opportunities. Now, if you're in education and you want to be an English teacher, this is the perfect place to start out. You don't need a ton of experience here to get a job, so it's a great place to start. But even if you don't want to be in education forever, if you don't want to be an English teacher for your whole life, and you're just looking for a travel opportunity, this is the place to come. Future employers will be impressed that you've come here. People are always impressed when I tell them that I taught here in the past, and it will open up some career opportunities. It's a great thing to have on your resume. It could even give you some business ideas for the future or open up some business opportunities or potential. It's very affordable. You don't need a lot of money to come here. Obviously, you need to pay for the flight, but if you've got maybe, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, once you get here, that's enough to start out. You don't need a ton of money. You need a little bit, but you don't need a ton of money, and you'll find that the cost of living here is very low. And obviously, you're going to get personal growth by coming here. You will become a better version of yourself by traveling abroad, by experiencing a new culture, by experiencing a new country. You can't really understand this until you do it, but you'll become a stronger, better version of yourself. And that's a lot of what this channel is about. Okay, step one. If you want to come here and teach, you're going to need a bachelor's degree. Now, I've met some people here who got jobs who didn't have a bachelor's degree. They were usually a little older, maybe 50 or more, and they didn't really want to go back to school, and they found a way to get a job here. But it's rare. And if you're going to get a work permit and be in the country legally and collecting a check legally and so forth and so on, the government in Thailand requires that you have a bachelor's degree. Now, it doesn't matter what you get the bachelor's degree in. It could be in education, it could be in English, it could be in history, it could be in whatever, chemistry, women's studies, art, whatever degree you want. It doesn't matter. But if you have a 4-year degree, you have potential to get a job here teaching English. Now, some schools, like I said, I have seen some schools waive this requirement, although it's rare. So, if you've got that degree and you're like me and you got a 4-year degree that didn't offer immediate job opportunities upon graduation, this is a good thing to do. You'll get a lot of valuable experience here, and you don't have to go live at your parents' house or, live in a tiny room with roommates or something like that. Um, you can come here and teach. Step two, and this is very important, get a teaching certificate. Along with the bachelor's degree, you're going to want a TESOL or TEFL certificate. Um, some people go as far as getting a CELTA certificate, which is a step above. And by all means, if you want to get a CELTA certificate, you can go ahead and do that. It's not required here. You're not going to need it. If you're somebody who's going to teach English and make a career out of this, which is totally possible, maybe a CELTA certificate is a better option for you. But a TESOL or a TEFL certificate will do. Um, just make sure that it's 120 hours. It doesn't matter if it's in person or online. Obviously, online options are a lot cheaper. Just make sure you pick somewhere that is accredited. And if you can get practical teaching experience along with the certificate or as a part of the program, that will be helpful. Check the credibility of the certificate, make sure it's accredited, and you can get these certificates for pretty cheap, or you can pay more if you want a higher level of certification. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have the bachelor's degree, you might want to go a step further and get the CELTA. That would make you more employable. But if you've got a bachelor's degree and you're not really sure if you want to be an English teacher forever and you just kind of want to get the experience, you get a TESOL or TEFL certificate. I've seen options online for less than $100. So you can get one for pretty cheap. It's a short course, and most people, especially if you've earned a bachelor's degree, you should be able to just whiz right through it, get the piece of paper. You're going to want to put that on the resume. Here's how you find a TEFL or TESOL certificate. It's way easier than you might think. I'm just going to go right on here and I'm going to type in TEFL certificate. And look at that. I get so many options right away. World TESOL Academy, $34 US. That sounds a little too cheap to me. But hey, if you're on a budget, that might work. But I'm going to click this one right here, get TEFL certificate online. It looks like save 50% on your course. It looks like they're charging, I'm not sure how much. Well, what you need is the 120 hour course. So let's click on that. Oh, it looks like it's $264.50 to take their course. And they're claiming to be the world's most accredited TEFL course provider. And this is TEFL.org. I don't know. There are many, many options. Just type something in on Google, TEFL certificate, TESOL certificate, or TESOL certificate, and you will find the information that you need on this. Like I said, you don't need to go as far as a CELTA. A CELTA is going to be a lot more expensive, but in Thailand, a TEFL or a TESOL certificate will work just fine. Step three, prepare that resume and CV. You're gonna need some documentation. It's easier than ever to prepare a resume or CV. If you don't know how, just type in Chat GPT and tell it to give it your experience and tell it to write you a resume or a CV. Include your teaching certificate, include your degree. Those are the requirements. Now, native speakers are going to have a huge advantage. If you're from the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, something like that, a native English speaking country, you're going to have a massive advantage over the rest of the candidates. Now, I briefly searched some online job forums and I found that most of the people applying for jobs teaching English here are from countries that don't use English as their first language. So if you show up and you're a native speaker, or you don't have to show up, you just submit your documents online and you're a native speaker, you're gonna have a huge leg up. It's just the way it is. And they really prefer native speakers. So highlight that on your resume. Also, and I say resume because I'm American, it could be a CV as well. And on CVs, generally people put a picture. You're going to want a picture here. They're going to want to know what you look like. Appearance is very important to the Thais. It's very important in most places around the world. Um, it may not be PC or politically correct to say that your appearance matters, but it does. It really does. And you're going to want to get a nice looking professional picture. You want to be dressed well, put on a shirt and tie if you're male, put on professional attire if you're a female. You can smile, you can look friendly. Um, but do something professional. Don't take a crappy picture. Don't show up in a stained shirt or in your pajamas or something like that. Just don't do it. They don't know you. They don't speak the same language as you. They're not from the same culture as you. So what do they have to go by? They have your qualifications, your professional experience, and like I said, you don't need much with a degree, a TEFL certificate, and being a native speaker. Those three things right there are probably gonna secure a job, as long as you look somewhat decent to them, because that's really all they have to go by. And it's important, although people may not like to hear that. It's just the truth. Step number 4, do a job search. Go search for the job. Use the internet. The internet is your friend. There are so many possibilities for those of us who know how to use technology to our advantage. Some really useful job boards that I used when I first came here were ajan.com. Ajan in Thai, and Ajan means teacher. Ajan.com is really helpful. There are plenty of jobs there. Dave's ESL Cafe is another really great resource. Lots of jobs are posted there. I'll put links to these sites in the description box. Check out these sites. You'll see what I'm talking about. There are many different opportunities for jobs there. You could explore recruitment agencies. Now, if you don't, the only time I've found that people got a job here who didn't have a degree was when they went through a recruitment agency. And what the agencies do is they find teachers. Some of them have their own TEFL programs that people can pay for and take, and they will link teaching candidates up with the schools. Now, I don't recommend going with the recruitment agencies because they're going to take a piece of your check. Every time you get paid, they take a little commission. That's how their businesses run. And the schools usually don't want to use a recruitment agency because they don't want to pay the agency. Why would the teacher want to pay the agency? But sometimes it's necessary. Like if you're not a native speaker, it could be really helpful. If you don't have a 4-year degree, it could be really helpful. In some instances, it's helpful even when you're highly qualified for the position, because they can kind of be a go-between between you and the school. The school, they don't always like to confront the teacher and tell them, hey, we want you to do things differently. We don't like the way you're dressing, or we don't like the way you taught that. That's not how the Thais are. They're very non-confrontational. So they can use the agency and tell the agency if they have any complaints, and then the agency will come and tell you. That there'll be a middleman in that way. And some agencies are really good. Some well-known agencies are Echo English, Media Kids Academy, and there are just so many more. But personally, I would avoid the agency. You'll get paid more without them usually. In my experience, that's been the case, and it's just generally not necessary, especially for job seekers that are a little bit more confident in their ability to secure a job without that help. If you feel that you need that help, by all means, seek out an agency. There are also tons of online forums. Use Facebook groups, find forums online, uh, network, find friends. People will post things. Use the internet to your advantage. You will be able to find jobs, even if you're in your native country looking for a job here. Use the internet. It's helpful. My favorite resources for a job board, which is Dave's ESL Cafe. I'm going to click on that. Okay, so I'm on Dave's ESL Cafe, and I'm just gonna type in Thailand and see what I get. All right, let's try that again. I'm just gonna type in Thailand here on Dave's ESL Cafe and see what I come up with. And there it is. All these jobs posted very recently. Teach in Thailand, over 100 positions, great food, great lifestyle, great weather, great people, great salaries. So let's see what they want here, right at the first one that pops up. No experience is necessary. We train you. Blah, 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 blah. What are their requirements? They're not even listing their requirements. A lot of these will specifically state they want a native speaker. If you're not a native speaker, you might want to avoid those. But if you are, look at this one. Looking for a new challenge, experience, and new culture. Well, why not an ESL teacher in Thailand? 33,000 Thai baht a month, which is enough to get by, more than enough to get by. Um, Work visa and permit provided. Right here, they're saying be a native English speaker, Europeans to be considered, and age 28 to 38. So they don't really have the same laws that we have in the US or that you might have in European countries where job posts aren't necessarily allowed to state a specific age or state a specific group that they want. But in Thailand, that's not the case. So they even say right here, we want a photo with your resume, a date of birth and nationality, and a short video introduction of yourself. So that's interesting. That's generally what they're looking for here. Step number 5, prepare for an interview. Wear professional attire, have Zoom downloaded on your computer. It's free. Be respectful, be polite, smile, keep it simple. You don't have to do much. Look good, smile, be professional. A friendly demeanor helps in Thailand. It's also a good idea to prepare a teaching demonstration. If you go through a teaching certification program, they will show you how to lesson plan, and you should have something prepared. It doesn't need to be the greatest thing in the world, but make sure you have something. Um, when I first came here 10 years ago, and I haven't been here for that long, I came back again. But the first time I got a job here, I didn't need to do a teaching demonstration. I did a Zoom interview, and some guy from South Africa was in charge of hiring for a school, and we did an interview over Zoom, and he said, yeah, come on down and we'll give you a job. Like I said, it's a lot easier as a native speaker who has a bachelor's degree and a teaching certification. But some other schools might want to see a little bit more, so make sure you're prepared just in case. Okay, some important notes, and this is where it gets interesting. It's easier to find jobs here on the ground. It's easier to just show up. And if you've got one of the stronger passports, like a UK passport is really powerful. I know with a US passport, I just get 30 days upon arrival. I didn't need a visa. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything because, this is a sensitive topic. Not everybody can just travel the world so easily. Um, but the reason why I mention that is because you can show up and find a job. You can just find English schools and walk in and say, hey, here's my resume. If you're looking for a teacher, let me know, give me a call. And you're probably going to be more successful that way. At least in my experience, it's worked that way. It's a lot easier to find a job on the ground. When I first came here, I found a job online. And then I found out relatively quickly that I could find a job that pays like twice as much right down the street. So I went ahead and switched jobs. But I had to be here to figure that out. So take that into consideration. You're going to have to take some risks if you if you want to teach abroad, you're going to have to be willing to kind of just go out there and try things. You can't always have everything planned perfectly beforehand. You're going to have to trust that things will work out. And a lot of the time that requires simply just showing up and seeing what works. The next important note is trust but verify, especially if you're going to find a job online before coming here. I highly doubt anybody's going to lie to you or sets you up or anything like that. It's just like, why would they do that? But verify who you're talking to. See if the school has some sort of website. See if others have taught there. See if they can connect you with other teachers, native English speaking teachers who are already there from other countries. The first job I got here was at an after school program. And I wasn't really sure if I should trust it, but the hiring manager was able to share some Facebook profiles of some other teachers, and I was able to contact them, and they seemed legit. They told me it was trustworthy, so I went with it. You're going to have to trust that it will work out when you're doing something like this. You can't be too pessimistic. The skeptic won't make this sort of thing happen, but you're going to want to verify as much as you possibly can. You need willingness to relocate. Be open to different options. Some people are going to want to come to Bangkok because it's developed and they've got train systems, great transportation, internet connectivity, and all the things you're used to. You could go eat lunch at Subway, get a coffee at Starbucks. Some people are going to want to live in the city for that reason. Some people are going to want to go into a more tropical setting. They're going to want to live on the beach, maybe go to an island somewhere and be down south in Thailand. Others are going to want a more quiet environment like the north of Thailand. We've all got our preferences, but be flexible. You're going to expand your job opportunities by being flexible and being willing to relocate to pretty much wherever. You have to be open to do something like this. Now, important notes, there are age considerations. They're generally looking for a younger teacher. If you're a fresh graduate, you have an advantage. If you have a youthful appearance, you have an advantage. There are certainly a lot of older teachers here as well, and they find jobs, but schools generally prefer younger teachers here. I've found, and I don't mean like too young, but generally like somewhere in between the ages of, let's say, 22, in your 20s, 30s, in your 20s and 30s, you're going to have an advantage. The final thing, and I've emphasized this so many times in this video, is appearance matters. They don't know you. They don't speak your language. What do they have to go by other than your appearance? Not much. I mean, they have your certifications, but even then, they don't always know. Like what, colleges in the US that are famous, they don't really know the school here. They know that you have a TEFL certificate, okay, but how are they really going to judge you? Human beings, we're wired to make snap judgments on people. And here, even more than in Western countries, your appearance matters. Dress well. You're going to want to wear a long sleeve shirt. If you're a male or female, tuck it in. Pants. Don't show up in shorts and a t-shirt. This is not the United States. I've taught in US public schools, and we have dress down Friday, and people will show up to work in a hoodie and jeans. That's not the culture here. Show that you're professional. Show that you think that this matters. And the easiest way to do that is to dress well. All right, so that's it. Done and done. Best of luck in your job search. I highly recommend you come to Thailand, do some research on the country, check out my other videos, get a sense of what it's like to be here. Maybe this is the country for you. Maybe there are other countries that are better, but there are so many opportunities to teach English abroad. Don't waste this opportunity, especially if you've just got a degree and you're unsatisfied with what you're doing and you want to travel. Go out and do it. Just get it done. Best of luck in your job search. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm open to your opinions on this. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. Tell me if you think I'm right. I don't know it all, but this has just been my experience.